Welcome to Mobile Rolling. After the break, it'll be my pleasure to be talking to someone everyone has seen his name, and after the break, we'll be able to find all out about what he does, how he's in the industry, and what he's got planned for the future. Welcome back to Mobile Rolling, and it's my pleasure to talk to a gentleman that everyone's probably seen his name at some stage on some forms, papers, interviews, whatever, and it's my pleasure to welcome Mark Hughes.
Gary, how are you, mate?
Good, thanks, Mark. Most people will probably know you as the Woodlands stud New Zealand representative in Australia, but obviously you just didn't become that overnight. So, as we normally do on the Mobile Rolling, we'll find out a little bit about you prior to getting to the role that you're in. So, where were you born, Mark?
Coburg, Victoria.
Coburg, so you're a Victorian.
Yep.
So you're an AFL man, obviously.
Yeah, mad for it.
Mad for which club?
Unfortunately, the Melbourne Football Club.
Well, they did win a premiership, which I suppose 10 years ago you would have thought, well, I'm not going to live old enough to see it, but you did.
This is true. I'll die happy, even though we were locked down and it was in Perth.
Oh, okay.
I'll take it to the grave.
All the Perth barrackers from Melbourne were at. So you were born in Coburg.
Yep.
What did you go to high school, uni? What did you do?
Yeah, primary school, high school, university. Finished my HSC. And,
good boy.
Fraction educated, not a lot though, and completed a Bachelor of Applied Science in Physical Education.
Oh, so you're obviously, we can see why you're not in the controlling bodies. You're obviously very well educated, and that's why you're in the role that you're in.
Yeah. Look, I learned to kick footies and bounce basketballs, mate, back in the day. So very good times.
So your family involved in horse industry at all, or?
Long story short, Dad and my uncle were mad punters, and they spent a lot of Saturday afternoons at Metro meetings in Melbourne and Saturday night at the Trots. My uncle's best mate was the farrier Dickie Bell, who was well-renowned harness racing trainer at the showgrounds, and then farrier for all the great trainers, Tommy Smith, Lee Friedman, etc. at Fremington. So the relationship and my love for the industry was probably pretty much born out of that relationship and just going to the races.
So what was the closest gallops track to where you lived?
Closest gallops track to me was Moonee Valley, mate, 20 minutes away.
And what about the trots over at the showgrounds then when you were a kid?
The showgrounds was heading towards its end, and we're transitioning to Moonee Valley. So the showgrounds are a little bit foggy in my memory, maybe a couple of meetings, but then obviously the halcyon days at Moonee Valley. Okay,
so you went and got your, was it diploma of, the Bachelor of Science?
Bachelor of Applied Science, mate. I'm actually
What does that actually mean?
Well, as I said, it was 3.5 years of bouncing basketballs and kicking footballs, but a bit of science, a bit of psychology, a bit of this, a bit of that. I worked out a long time, halfway through it, that I wasn't going to use it, but I thought I'd stay the course, because it was a lot of fun.
Didn't have HEC stats in those days, did they?
No HEC stats, a lot of good-looking women in the team, and, I was working at Moonee Valley in Flemington at the racetrack for both the galloping codes and, both clubs and for harness racing, or the trotting control board, I guess, at that stage.
So I can see where your strengths have come from and your immaculate 20/20 vision. Now, where was your first job? You left school, obviously everyone got a job in those days?
My first job was when I was at high school, actually. I worked on the Herald newspaper as a copy boy from the age of about 14 through to 18. So
still going to school, just getting some cash?
Yeah, just getting a little bit of folding on the side. So we could have a bet and a bit of a drink when we were 16. I worked at the Herald Sun in Flinders Street as a copy boy, and then finished up processing the racing results for the Herald. Did some work on the former Sunday Press and the former Sunday Observer as well. So a little bit of newspaper work there.
And then what was your first role out of that?
First role out of that, when I was at university, I worked at Moonee Valley for the racing club and for and at Flemington as well for the racing club, but also did work for Moonee Valley at the races and the
What sort of
and the
role was
trots.
that? The sort of
Mate, one of my first jobs was opening and closing gates, and by week 2 I was working for the bookie supervisor. So price runner for both Moonee Valley thoroughbreds and for the harness.
okay. So after that role, so obviously you probably were stronger into the gallops end than you were to the harness or the trots, as they call them.
Yeah, I suppose so. Harness racing was always my first love, and thoroughbreds were still there. And I did that, worked on those race tracks, and had my first share in a horse when I was 18.
Is that a galloper or a
it was a pacer, a little pacer called New Kid in Town. Tubby Peace trained it. Won his first 5 starts, mate, and I thought, how long's this been going on?
So who was Andrew driving at the time? Or
Andrew was driving at the time, yeah.
Was that at the Valley?
That was at the Valley. He won first up at Moonee Valley on a Saturday night. So he's by Gordon Rothiger's old horse called Rat out of a mare called Sand Lass. So, I remember those. He won 5 in a row, mate. So,
So this is good.
Oh, how long's this been going on?
So you had a share in it with mates. Did you have any other brothers or anything?
Yeah, got a baby brother.
Was he into the...
No, I'm from
He's clever.
No, he's smart, mate. He just stayed away from the animals with 4 legs.
Okay, so, all right. So at that stage, when you had that horse racing, what were the stars of both training, driving and horses at the Valley at that stage?
So those were the halcyon days, mate. Those were the days of Vin and Bobby Knight, of obviously Andrew and Tubby Peace, yeah. They were the Sinbad Bay times, a lot of Vinny getting those good horses out of Tasmania. A lot of the Torado Hanover breed coming out of Tasmania. Pieces were the same. Like, you go to the Valley on a Saturday night and there'd be 8 races. Vinny would win 3, Tubby would win 4, and some other lucky fellow would win the other. And then the reverse had happened the following Saturday. They were just so dominant at that stage.
So what job were you doing at that stage? Did you moved on from your sort of part-time or your job?
So I travelled overseas for a year. I backpacked around Europe and the UK for a year and, had a great time over there. Then I came back and started to work with Terry Henderson and Mark Hughes.
So what age would have been then, mate?
23.
23. So for people that don't know, Terry Henderson is one of the inaugural sort of syndicators, wasn't he, of horses?
Yeah, Paces Australia was probably the original syndicator of standardbreds. In Victoria we were based and eventually branched out into thoroughbreds, and by the mid-1990s, Terry shifted the focus away from standardbreds and moved into gallopers with Simon O'Donnell and started OTI racing. So
what were some of the standardbreds that he would have had that you would have been involved with, either managing them or assisting in the management or securing? Is there any that come to mind that say these were nice horses for him? Or
yeah, look, there were some great horses in that team. A little horse called Chokin, won a New Zealand Cup, a couple of Miracle Miles. He was a rock star, and Barry Purdon will tell you to this day, this is the best horse he ever put a bridle over. We had another very...
Did he get beaten in the Gawler Derby or something by Neil Cavallari's horse, Rosewood Dream?
I reckon he did, yeah. Yep. That was at the stage when Bob Knight trained him, I think. And he did get beaten in South Australian... was it by Bonamax, was it? Or was that around that time, maybe?
Yeah, it could have been Bonamax, yeah.
So starting to show our age a little bit here, but we had a great horse called Getting It Right with Lou Austin. I actually had a share in him at the same time.
Was he by Classic Gary?
He was a Classic Gary out of a Windshield Miper there. So he won.
Very fast horse.
Very, very fast. 23 starts for 17 wins, but extremely unsound horse. Too much speed for his own good.
So it looks like I need to get a horse with you because you seem to be or did your luck run out in the 80s?
No, luck didn't run out then. Luck carried on, and I was very fortunate to be involved with Terry when we syndicated DeRemus. DeRemus, who won a
Caulfield Cup, Melbourne Cup.
Absolutely.
Come from Port Pirie and a man of the cloth that had a little early bet and backed DeRemus.
There you go.
Collected.
There you go. He was a...
When was that? 87, wasn't it?
No, that was in the 90s, mate. That was about, memory serves me correct, maybe 94.
They were pink and blue. Who colours? Were they your colours?
So they were the West Australian Connections colours in the horse. Yeah. So Paces Australia owned half, and trying to think of his name, he was a butcher at Kalgoorlie. His crew owned the other half. It escapes me now, but he was by a stallion called Norman Pennaquod, who for all intention purposes was just no good. Finished up serving polo ponies at Kerry Packer's place back in the day. but he left one great horse. He had a baldy white face, and he had a big engine. And
So that was sort of like the music person that has the one-hit wonder.
yeah,
And
pretty
he had
much.
the one-hit wonder, and he was a very, very, very good horse.
He was a star, and he, I
Was it
suppose.
G. Hall, was it?
No, that was Damien Oliver.
Damien Oliver, wasn't
Yep,
it? When
D.
he-
Oliver won the Caulfield and the Melbourne Cup win. So yeah, out of a Zamazan mare, mate. That was his only life-saving grace. His Zamazans could stay like the mother-in-law, mate. So that helped him. But that was that was 95 actually. So at the top of the tree in a very short time.
So how long were you with Terry and his
So I worked for Terry for about 4 or 5 years. Took over that business, and then
what did you actually do?
So we literally put together the syndicates.
So did you, like I know they spend a lot of time overseas in Europe and that now and sourcing horses. Did you have that, or were you more in the sales of getting once the horses were there and the product was there that you'd sell it to the public, or did you do both?
Yeah, look, so I think we primarily source our horses out in New Zealand. The key to the success of that business was the horses were going horses.
Okay.
So we, cut out the not knowing bit.
Yeah, the uncertainty.
The uncertainty. So we had a lot of success at that, primarily out in New Zealand. And by the time I'd finished working with Terry, one of the last horses we put together, actually, we bought an Irish galloper called Bader, who came out, and Lee Friedman had him. But that was sort of on the cusp around that time of when the Australians are starting to fossick around a little bit more overseas. Once I left Terry and worked for myself, Terry was ahead of his time in that regard, but he was also touching. They were looking at Argentina and places in the USA for horses way back when. And this is 30 years ago now.
Yeah, so I suppose if you're analysing it all, it got to the situation where it's a bit like trying to buy a really, really good pacer or trotter out of New Zealand now. There's so many people looking for them that the market there's not a lot to get, so you've got to look elsewhere. So I suppose from their point of view, they've gone to Germany and the UK and France, and then, as you said, stallions from Argentina and everything these days, isn't there?
Yeah. Look, they thought outside the square. The game is global, and strategically, because there was a bit of emphasis on speed as well, shipping away from the staying type of horse in Australia. Then they started to target those that area.
Other places.
Yeah.
So you said that you went to out on your own.
Yep.
When you went out on your own, what was you actually doing? The same sort of thing?
Yeah, same sort of thing, but just trading as an agent, buying and selling horses from New Zealand into Australia and shipping to North America as well. There were regular years where we'd probably buy 50 or 60 horses out in New Zealand. This is back in the day where you could fill up the plane and fill up the love boat, as we used to say, bring them over on the boat. There was a demand for going horses. You had the ability to find a nice horse for not a lot of money and place them well in Australia.
So at that stage, how old were you? Were you single, married, family? What age were you to go out on your own is a big move. So do you remember exactly?
Yeah, started working for myself just before the birth of my eldest daughter, so about 25 years ago.
25 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have a bit of a break, and after the break we'll come back and we'll discuss basically the Mark Hughes on his own from there through till today.